welcome back to State and Local, and you're watching, of course, Norfolk Public Access. I'm Anne-Marie Battistone. This is another one of the interviews for candidates for town office. Of course, that election is May 6th, and town meeting, which you also don't want to miss, is May 13th. And my guest today is Carol Greene, who is running for town clerk. Oh, thank you for coming, Carol. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Anne-Marie.
Oh, not at all, not at all. Now, you are now deputy town clerk.
I am the acting town clerk.
Acting, of course, because Sean Dooley's gone to Beacon Hill. And how long have you been in the town clerk's office?
I've been the assistant town clerk for 4 years.
Oh.
And prior to that, I had worked elections and had been a records clerk for a short time in the office.
What does the records clerk do?
Generalized filing. That's pretty much.
Yeah. Now, how long have you lived in Norfolk?
I've been in Norfolk for a little over 25 years.
Oh my goodness.
I'm originally from Maryland.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that. Yep. You're from, is it Landover?
Hagerstown.
Hagerstown, because my family is from Maryland as well, and I sort of know Hagerstown. It's changed a lot since you were there.
Oh yeah, it sure has.
Now, why do you obviously want to stay in your job? What do you feel has been what do we say has been your strengths or even your weaknesses in being town clerk?
I think some of the strengths are my organizational skills. I'm very detail-oriented, and I just have a tremendous love for serving the public.
It must be very tiring, though, during I would say that would be a tough thing to do, working at those polls, because you're there, from is it 6 or until 9?
7 till, it's about 9:30, 10 o'clock by the time we get everything put away and everything settled back at the office. So it is a pretty long day, but I really enjoy it because I get to see the most residents and everybody coming out to vote, and that's very enjoyable. So.
And at least you get to walk around.
Yep.
So at least you're not in because I've I've worked at the polls, and I know once I did it the whole thing, and it was almost unbearable.
It's hard. It's a very long day. That was one of the reasons why Sean had broken the days into halves, and that's something I'd like to carry on, because it's a shorter day for people. And it's also, it opens up more opportunity for people to work the polls too.
Right, exactly.
That would like to do so.
Yeah, that was good that he did that, I thought, because there were a lot of people that wanted, the extra money,
Yep.
and it was always the same people all the time. I mean, you go in there, you could, just about predict who it's going to be. So I think it was a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, aren't you all digitized now? Is that the right word?
One of the things that we're in the process of doing, and it was Sean had started this project through it got funding from the CPC, and it's to digitize the vital records, birth records, marriage, death, and it's twofold. It's accessible and it's a searchable database, and we can print right from there. And what it also does is it preserves the records if there were ever a case of a fire or something. We have everything on a disk, and the disks will be stored in another town's vaults also.
Now, do people have to bring their birth certificate in?
No,
or do you search that and?
We get, there's 2 people that gets a birth certificate. It's the birthing community. So if you were born at Newton Wellesley Hospital, Newton has a copy, and then the resident community. So we're the ones that always have it.
So, do you search that, or does someone have to bring it in? Like somebody my age would have to bring it in for you to scan?
No, it's the ones that are given through the state. The towns
right.
provide them to the resident community. So it's for the birth records are anybody that parents lived in Norfolk when they were born.
All right.
Those are the ones. But we're able to search that database instead of going down to the safe, pulling out originals, photocopying them. We're able to search the database and print out a copy, directly from there to certify.
And marriage as well?
Marriage and death. And we're expanding it. The plan is to expand it with town meeting minutes.
That's good.
And it's expandable to other departments too, as they'd like to, that you can do planning board, zoning board, any of their records. I have talked to Karen Turry in the building department, and they have all the zoning board bylaws going back for years. And one of the projects I'd like to work on this summer is to scan all of those and get those in there too. And you know, and again, with the older records that are more delicate, we can just print out a copy of the zoning bylaws if somebody would come in and ask for a copy.
Exactly.
Instead of handling the old records.
Right.
So it works, you know, and it's also searchable. If somebody's looking for a particular thing, we can search the database throughout all the zoning boards, and it will pull all of the records so we can see what years somebody might, you know, be particularly looking for.
Oh, that's an interesting news. So now, would the original site of those records, would they be digitized with those, or just at the town clerk's office? In other words, I mean, would they have already been in computers at the other boards, like planning board or the
Some, you know, some have.
Building inspectors.
I'm not sure exactly how much stuff is on computers in the other departments, but I know, like, you know, the bylaws, the actual physical bylaws and stuff, the older ones aren't. The only place we have them are in those books. And if those are lost or if those are damaged, that's a great loss to the town.
Gee, I'm
so
surprised
this
they
is a fantastic project.
Wow, I'm surprised they wouldn't have done that sooner, but it's a good thing. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, a lot of it is, you know, had been funding, and, you know, again, working with the CPC with the historical aspect of it. It's been a great project.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought CPC that would be something that they would pay for.
Well, it's historical records.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the
yeah, and that's where it falls in, and the preservation is just, you know, that's an added bonus.
Now, tell me, is it ever difficult dealing with people at that desk? I mean, have you had experiences where it was a little bit challenging dealing with people coming in, maybe a dog license fiasco or something?
It's generally most everybody that comes in is in a good mood.
Yeah.
They're coming in to get birth records or, you know, photocopies of something, or you know, to pay their dog licensing fee or drop off their census. But once we do hit the late fees, it does. People do get upset, and we just try to explain to them. You have to stay patient and explain to them that it is town bylaw. I
mean, what are you going to do?
How all the fees?
You know. What is the fine on those dog?
It actually is an incremental fine. It starts the 1st of May. It's $15, and then it goes up $5 a month after that, up to it reaches a total of $50.
Oh, well, my goodness. I mean,
you know, so
essentially, it really shouldn't be anybody shouldn't have to pay more than $15. I mean, once you, unless you just let the thing go and go and go and go, and then you
and I mean, then it can, you know, then it can add up some. And there is a point where the animal control officer also will ask for a list of all unlicensed dogs, and will issue violations. So but that's a separate. You know, that's a separate matter.
Now, what other service have you given to the town in terms of other boards or activities? I think you've been pretty active, haven't you?
I've been really active. Nothing through town government, not a lot through town government, but I'm a 10-year member of the Norfolk Lions Club. I just got my 10-year pin.
Oh, how long does that take to reach tenure in the Lions Club?
10-year. I'm sorry, 10 years, not tenure. I'm sorry. No, but so I've been a member of the Norfolk Lions for 10 years, and I've been I'm in my 5th year of being very active in the King Philip Music Association. My daughter is graduating King Philip High School next month. Actually, they have their last day of classes in May. And
my goodness.
She's been a part of the music program over there, so I've been very active in the King Philip Music Association.
What does she play?
She plays marimba.
Now, what is that?
It is, the best way to describe
that thing that you scrape?
Is it looks like a giant xylophone with wooden keys.
Really?
And it's played with mallets. Very beautiful.
Is it sort of a sound like a xylophone a little bit, or is it have that?
It's a lot softer. It's a lot softer of a sound.
How did she come up with that instrument? How did she find that?
She
must have heard it somewhere.
It's kind of a kind of a strange progression. We're members of the Federated Church in Norfolk, and she was a member of the handbell choir there. Started off ringing handbells, and when she hit think it was like 5th grade, she started at in the music program at the elementary school as a percussionist, and didn't particularly like drums. But there's so many other instruments that are percussion instruments, and a marimba is a percussion instrument, and discovered that she had a talent for melodic percussion instruments, and she's been doing great.
Now, what is your involvement in the association?
My involvement in the association, I pit crew, which means I move equipment and bring equipment on and off the field for a marching band, and in and out of the performance areas for indoor percussion. I also ran Gillette Stadium and getting volunteers to work the stadium. The Music Association has a booth at the stadium, Italian Sausage 111.
And when is, during the games?
Yep, we get they get a percentage of the money, and we have to staff it. So I was a manager of that stand for a couple of years, and also recruiting people to work the stand for every game and every concert.
That's a lot tougher than being in the town clerk's office.
It is. Very much so.
Because you've got to maintain the heat, and you've got to keep track of that. If you're serving something hot, I know when I was in Medfield, when I was at the town day, and they had food. I mean,
there's a lot of
there's
stuff
a lot
involved.
to do.
There really is, and we have a great group of parents. Some other very good managers that help manage the stand. It takes about 12 people to run that stand, and then alcohol presents its own set of issues too. You have to be alcohol certified to serve alcohol. And any problems that arise with that too. So,
are you serving alcohol at that stand?
They do. They sell beer.
So the adults have to be doing that, I would assume.
Yes. The adults have to be that, and we have to have people that are in the stand that are alcohol certified too. So, but it was quite the undertaking, but I really enjoyed it. And then just other volunteer and fundraising efforts through the KPMA.
Now, has she decided on college?
She has. She has been accepted to and has decided on University of Massachusetts Amherst.
Oh, great!
Into the nursing school.
Oh, wonderful!
So
well, that's no small feat.
She will be.
Because that's the flagship of all of the. I mean, you don't just apply and you can apply the same. You're not going to get this same. You're not going to get accepted in Amherst if you've gotten accepted, say, at Dartmouth. I mean, it's a whole different.
It's a very tough program to get accepted into. They are highly selective. They had somebody had even, when we went on a tour, had said they had over 3,000 applications and they chose 80.
Oh my!
So it is, I'm very, very proud of her.
Oh.
And look forward to her starting college, another whole stage of life.
Now she'll probably train at the in Worcester.
Yeah, UMass Medical Center is one of the hospitals that they do their clinicals at.
Oh, wonderful! Oh, that's great.
Which is a great hospital.
So. Oh, that's good. Now, I wanted to talk to you about this law regarding the voting, the 10 days. I'm against it myself. I don't see the need of being able to vote. And I believe it's just presidential, which is a blessing. But it's House Bill 788, if anybody's interested in looking it up. And they're going to allow people to vote 10 days ahead of Election Day. Do you know anything yet of what that's going to involve?
I haven't. I've only touched briefly, on that so far. But early voting, it leads to its own set of problems.
Oh, yes.
We have at an election, anytime I open a voting box, once you put your ballots in, I have to have the police officer present to open the box to keep the integrity of the ballots.
Now, these are the ones that have already gone through.
Yeah, these are the ones that you slide through. You have to, anytime I have to open it, if there's a jam or something like that, the police officer has to be present. How do you handle that in an in-office situation? How do you keep the integrity of the ballots?
Now, what happens on the regular day, on polling day? Where those get sent right off once they're boxed up?
We box them up at the end of the night, and the officer that's on duty escorts us back. They take them to the police station for 10 days.
Oh, really?
For any high-profile elections. They're kept for 10 days at the police station, and then they're returned to us after that, in case of any kind of a recount or anything like that. General elections where there isn't, aren't as high a priority of election.
Like
they come
overrides
back,
and-
the
yeah.
officer comes back to the town hall with me, and we lock them. Everything is sealed and signed off on by myself and the officer, and stored in the safe.
Huh.
And
Now, if once this is what I wanted to ask you as I was thinking about this. Once that's gone through, the record is in the machine, right?
Yes.
So do the paper ballots really matter anymore?
the paper
Unless
ballots
you
would
did
only
have to
matters if we had to have a recount.
Uh-huh.
Then it would involve the registrars, and you would actually be a matter of counting and tallying the ballots by hand.
So will you have to? Do you think they'll have to hire somebody extra to help on all those days because you still have the town clerk's office being open? You think it'll be right there outside in the hall, there, in that little area?
We'd have to keep it, in there where we can keep supervision of it. You have extended hours, and we also have Saturdays.
And then you'll have to
that it
have
has to be
extra people
available.
there that you're paying
Absolutely.
to check people in.
Absolutely. And again, and there's an integrity issue too. What do you do after the town clerk's office closes?
Wow. Yeah.
That opens up a whole another bunch of time that ballots can be accessed.
Well, and of course the thing is, my opinion is, this is a thing about this being in the cities and dragging people in, that because the same day registration allowed in Massachusetts.
No.
'Cause in some states it is.
No, not in Massachusetts.
Because I know it's been done for years that they go out and get people, or hanging around people and take them to be registered, people who normally wouldn't go and know nothing about the election, give them stuff, and that's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, I'm glad that's not going on in Massachusetts.
Right. Well, I'm sure it happens in Boston and first of all, you have a lot of these empty buildings. And so people just say that's where they live, and I don't know to what extent they keep up with that.
Yeah,
and people
it's
that are
hard to say. You're signing, when you fill out a voter registration card, you're signing under penalty of perjury that you live at that address. I think where it would come into play is if somebody would actually challenge that vote. Right. So they'd have to see the person voting,
Oh, right.
find out where they're living at, know that they're not living there, and they'd have to challenge that one vote.
Right.
It's a pretty, it's an involved process to do that.
One wonders about the homeless. I suppose if you're actually living at a shelter, I don't know how that works, how long people are there, or so forth. But that would be their address. But I'm thinking, more about homeless. Apparently there's something going on in North Carolina, where there's they're not taking you off the rolls. And I did want to ask about that. So if somebody moves out of state, is it their responsibility to get in touch with the town clerk, or how do you know? How would you know?
What happens is hopefully when they register, because there's no national voter registry, it goes by state.
Right.
Where they register to vote, theoretically is supposed to send us something stating that they registered to vote there. And again, that's theoretical. It doesn't happen that often. I get maybe half a dozen a year, and I know that we have many more residents than that. So what happens is when we send out the census, we mail out the census once a year, and you sign it stating that you're still living there and return it, and we update you in our voter registration system as that you're still living here. If somebody does not return that, we're required by the state to do a mass inactivation. And what that means is we inactivate any voters that live at that address.
Right.
Now, what happens from there is, say they just didn't return their census and they show up to the polls to vote.
Oh, yeah.
We have an inactive voter list that's in the back of each of the books. And at that time, if a person's on that, then they need to come back and see me, or my deputy warden, Deb McGonigal. What they do is they fill out an affidavit of continuous residence. They have to prove that they're still living in Norfolk at that point. And then they get to vote. We definitely don't disenfranchise anybody. Everybody has the right to vote.
Yeah.
So, then they go through the process, and then when we get back to the office the next day, we make sure we update them, in the system. Now, if they don't, say they moved out of state, their mail's not being forwarded for some reason, they stay inactive, and they stay on that list for 2 biennial elections.
Oh.
And if they do not vote in 2 biennial elections, we do mass deletion and delete anybody that's in that status.
Because apparently what was happening was there were people that were I guess they bust people in, and then they use these identities, and so somebody was talking the other day about. I mean, I think there should be an ID presented when you vote, and somebody was saying the other day they have to. I mean, I have to show my ID if I buy a bottle of wine at Trader Joe's to show that I'm over 18. I mean, they don't even allow the discretion of looking at somebody, in their 60s and saying, "Oh, okay."
It's their policy, yeah.
But it's just ridiculous. I mean, So now, was there anything else that you wanted to mention about your campaign? How your campaign's going? Will you be putting signs out or
My
doing
campaign's
calls?
actually going very well. I have a lot of very good people, working with me, and we're going to be putting out signs. I'm going to be going door to door.
Oh, you are?
To meet the residents. Absolutely. I get to meet, a good segment of the town through election day, and different areas throughout the office and dog registration and stuff. But I mean, we still live in a very small world. So I want to get out and meet, some of the other residents.
But that's no small task in a town like this where you have these big spaces between houses. It's not like if you were in Milford or some of these other places.
It's good for me. I need the workout.
Because I think even Medfield is denser than Norfolk is.
It's spread out, but I feel it's important. I want to get out and I want to meet people. I want to give them a chance to meet me, find out who I am and what I'm all about, and hopefully come out and support me on election day.
Oh yeah, wonderful.
I have a very strong commitment to this town and to the residents, and I hope that I'm able to continue.
Yes. Oh, I think lots
capacity.
of people, of course, know you.
I do. I know just from this, all the different things that I've been involved in through the years. I do. I know, quite a number of people in Norfolk, and I hope for their support.
Oh, yeah.
I've tried to do a very good job in the time that I've been in the office, and I'd like to continue.
And and you're always, when I've come by there, you always come right over, and you seem to recognize my voice, and I always think, wow,
I try hard with that. I think it's very important that you come out and that you talk to the residents. You're in a public service job.
That's right.
You work for the residents. I work for every single person that comes through that door, and I should be able to go up and speak with them and have a nice word with them.
And as I've told you before, I think you have the patience of a saint.
Thank
Without
you.
going into any detail.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, boy.
Appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Again, thank you again for having me.
Oh, not at all.
Really appreciate it,
Good
Anne Marie.
luck. Oh,
Thank you.
It was my pleasure. And so that was my interview with Carol Greene. She's running for town clerk. And we'll be having a few more interviews in this series. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Marie Battistone. This has been State and Local on Norfolk Public Access.